listening to the Social Impact Show with me, Sam Marshall. How you doing? It is, can you believe it, Thursday already? And it is officially the 13th of March. Where did time go? Can you believe it? A couple of days ago, we were ushering in 2025, and now we've had a budget postponement. We had the minister talk about what this new budget's going to look like, a 0.5% increase, and all of a sudden, we are all in a tiff. We're here now. Good morning to you. How are you doing? Where are you? Are you on your way to work? Are you on your way to coffee? Do you have a coffee date? Are you hanging out with your friends? Do you have a half day? Do you have a full day? Do you hate your work? Whatever it may be, you're in great company because you're listening to Gauteng's official feel-good radio station. And as you know, this is a partnership between you and I. Every day, every week, we get to talk to great South Africans. We get to spotlight and focus on organizations that really think about how they can change the discourse of ordinary South Africans. And as some of you know, we engage every day, we can't go anywhere. We're not going to listen to Trump. We're not getting on a plane. We're not moving to America. This is our home. So what we do Mondays to Fridays is talk to great people like this. Theresa Michael, who's the CEO of Afrika Tikkun Bambanani. And what the guys have been thinking about at Afrika Tikkun Bambanani is about how do we strengthen South Africa's education system for the future. It's a big think, right? It's a big think. It's a big ask. It's how do we do it and how do we collaborate to do it? What should be the kind of conversations we have? How should we ask the questions? Who should be around the table? And once we get to a point, an agreement, how do we implement? Theresa, good morning. Thank you for joining me.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
This is such a big ask. How do we strengthen South Africa's education system? But before I want you to answer that, for the listeners that have been living under a rock, who've never heard Afrika Tikkun, and that doesn't know what the organization does, in your words, please share with us what Afrika Tikkun Bambanani is all about.
So Afrika Tikkun is the biggest NGO in South Africa.
One best NGO of the year by the CSI Legacy a week ago.
Absolutely. We're very proud of that. One of the biggest in Africa. And we have been around for 30 years.
Yeah.
Our founder, Bertie Labner, he passed away. It was his birthday yesterday. So we had celebrations across all our Afrika Tikkun sites.
Yeah.
Celebrating a wonderful man, a founder that started Afrika Tikkun 30 years ago, together with Nelson Mandela.
Yeah. I've got a great story of Bertie Labner, by the way. Let me just declare my interest. I, in actual fact, helped with some of the media for Afrika Tikkun when Oni, who's now Dr. Oni, at that point she wasn't, when she was the head of marketing, years before she was promoted to CEO, and now she's at Sesame International Africa. I remember the first day I walked in. People don't understand, Bertie Labner was such a great guy. I went into the offices here in Hyde Park, and he brought me into his office, and for half an hour we had a conversation. And he told me about the history of Afrika Tikkun. And it was such a beautiful insight. He was like this great grandfather of this organization.
Absolutely, absolutely. A wonderful man. And his legacy continues today, where millions of lives have been impacted because of Afrika Tikkun.
Yeah.
So within Afrika Tikkun, we have the section or the department called Bambanani. And Bambanani focuses on ECD. And for those of you who don't know, ECD is early childhood development. And that's for children literally ages birth to 6 years old. And we work together with my amazing Bambanani team. We work with ECD children across all 9 provinces of South Africa. Yeah. So we are in the most rural, underprivileged parts of the country, parts where nobody else wants to go.
Yeah, I've actually been to your center across the road from Constitutional Hill.
Yes, that's the one at Utando.
Yeah,
and that's the closest one. What an amazing place.
Amazing facility.
Unbelievable facility. Unbelievable.
Yeah, really. The adults in that room really thought about what the interaction should look like for children, and really smart adults coming together to solve a problem. I love that. I love that center.
Yes, absolutely. So we try to replicate our centers on a smaller scale across South Africa. So to date, in the past 4 years, we have reached 501 ECD centers.
Wow.
We have trained and upskilled 3,000 teachers. We call them practitioners in the ECD language. And we have impacted the lives of over 40,000 children.
Yeah, no, that's
so
amazing.
we're very proud of our achievements, and proud that we made a change in education in South Africa.
I think the other thing that I love about you guys, Mark Lubner, when he accepted the award at the CSI Legacy Awards in Rosebank, and I think this is a testament to how you guys think about making impact. He talked about breaking down the silo mentality. It was it was a rousing speech. He got applause afterwards. And he talked about breaking down silo mentalities. But I think the other strength of Afrika Tikkun has been its ability to collaborate effectively and understand the power of collaboration.
The power of collaboration. And that is what we've done. It's all about collaboration. It's all about getting NGOs together, corporate together, government together, the private space together, everybody together to change the lives of children and to impact South Africa. And the saying, I know it's a saying that's gone back for many generations. The saying, it takes a village to raise a child, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's a village. It's everybody coming together to change the narrative of education in South Africa.
Yeah. It would be remiss of me not to ask you as a leader, just your thoughts on the increase from that 17 Rand to 24 Rand. Because this is the space that you play in.
Absolutely. That is wonderful news for us. So it was 17 Rand a day per child. Now the minister announced yesterday it's now 24 Rand per day per child. The difficulty here comes in is that most of the ECD centers that we work with are not registered. So they're not getting this money at all. So our mission, together with the mission of government and many privates and corporates and NGOs over the next 5 years, is to get these centers to register with the department. So once they register, they then meet the criteria that is required, and then they will be receiving 24 Rand a day per child, which is a huge difference for centers who are receiving no money at all.
Yeah. So it's fascinating to me. I went to go and meet the leadership of the Unlimited. Now, Candice Potgieter and her team.
Yes, absolutely. They do wonderful work.
They do amazing work.
Amazing.
And they've actually been registering ECD centers. And I think at some point it's like 3,300.
Absolutely. We're doing the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now I'm listening to you talk about, and I wonder if us as lay people, not in your space, just ordinary South Africans, if we actually understand the depth of the challenges that the ECD space faces, because imagine Unlimited is registered over 3,300, you're close to 600, and yet we're talking about there are ECD centers that are not registered.
Still not.
That's
Hundreds,
crazy, right?
Thousands of them. Crazy.
That is just
Crazy.
absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So now you are, as leadership, as an institution, and I don't think people also understand the value of Afrika Tikkun in terms of the work that it does. But when I was engaging with you guys probably 10 years ago, this is just, I want to let them know how smart you guys are. When I was engaging with you guys 10, 11 years ago, I don't think Bambanani was formed, or I didn't know of Bambanani then.
No.
Yeah. Afrika Tikkun went from a 60 million Rand a year to like 160 million Rand, 180 million Rand. That's raising funds from zero every year.
Absolutely.
And it's just the passion and the dedication and finding the right groups of people that understand the need, and I thought that was really clever. So when I got this press release saying we're thinking about how to strengthen South Africa's education system for the future, understanding that the Afrika Tikkun model is from cradle to career, right? It's the entire value pipeline. It's not just we'll deal with you as a kid and then you're on your own. And it's that entire value chain. How do you think as a leader we now have to think about strengthening the education system?
So the most important is to build the foundation. So Sam, if you build a house without a foundation, it's just going to come tumbling down.
Eventually, yeah.
And ECD is the foundation to education. And now it has more so than ever before been recognized. When the minister delivered his speech, when the departments all gathered together at the Lakota, he emphasized the importance of
which was last
ECD,
week or 2 weeks
which
ago,
was
right?
last week.
At Birchwood.
Absolutely, at Birchwood. And he apologized for the past 30 years, and he admitted that government has failed in ECD over the past 30 years. And that is why we have all of these problems in education. That is why you read the stats that 81% of children can't read for meaning.
And that's at grade 4.
That's at grade 4.
For
And why
literacy
is
reading,
that?
yeah.
It's because they had no foundation.
Yeah.
So as the years got on, there was no foundation for them to build on. And then you read that the government did a study called Thrive by 5 on 4 to 5-year-olds across South Africa, and only 41% of children are thriving at the age of 4 to 5. So if only 41% are thriving at that age, what hope do they have of thriving in the future? And the importance of a matric pass rate is wonderful, and everybody celebrated that last year. It was one of the highest pass rates we've had in many years, but nobody actually understood that only 50% of the children that started grade 1 matriculated last year.
And that's why some quarters, they weren't happy with those numbers, because they are thinking of the entire value chain and not just the outcome.
Yeah. And where does it start?
Yeah.
It starts at ECD. So that is what we do. We build the foundation, we train teachers, we provide a curriculum that's internationally certified of a very high standard. We believe in equal education. No child should be left behind. Just because you're living here down the road in Sandton, it doesn't mean that you should have a better education than someone in Kakamas. Absolutely not. So the curriculum that we've developed is internationally certified by Finland. They are, one of the best in the world for ECD.
I love them. I was a guest of the Finnish embassy a couple of months ago when they asked me to speak on the state of media. I really love those guys.
So we've implemented this curriculum. We train teachers. We upskill principals. We give them management training. And then our most exciting addition is our Bambalern app. It's an app that children play 30 minutes once a week, and it's an extension of the curriculum. It's the curriculum in game form.
Oh, wow. Is that open to the public?
Absolutely. It's on the Google Play Store.
Why have you guys kept it such a great secret? Why has it been such a great secret?
It's a wonderful app. It extends children. And our mission at Afrika Tikkun Bambanani, across the organization, is inclusion. Inclusion, see the able, not the label. So that is our motto. So the same applies to our centers, where we make sure that our centers are equipped for children who are disabled, children who are cognitively challenged, children who are physically disabled. We cater for all children, and the app does that as well.
Yeah.
Where children, if they are not as bright as everybody else, can work at their own pace, and children who are highly intelligent but are held back because the teacher may not be skilled enough to extend them, then they can also work on this app, and then they can take learning into their own hands. It becomes self-learning, where they learn at their own pace.
Yeah, that's absolutely phenomenal. What's that app called again?
It's called
Theresa?
Bambalern. And we spoke about Bertie Labner earlier, and his initials were BL. So we based our app on Bertie Labner, the founder of Afrika Tikkun. So BL is Bambalern, and because we're Bambanani, we shortened it to Bambalern.
Yeah, that's a great way to honor a man who had a vision and who wanted to make a change. Strengthening the education system for the future means that we need to have... somebody once told me, I think it was the head of the Masito music exchange program, that said, I asked the question, and I said... should we keep on talking? It feels like we're just going around in a merry-go-round. And then he made this quite articulate argument that saying, if we don't talk about how deep the hole should be, we're just going to keep on digging, right? So we need dialogue. We need conversations. But I'm an advocate that the quality and the content of the dialogue needs to move along. We can't have the same conversations we had 10, 15 years ago. Develop the white papers, they go and sit on a beautiful desk to die. How do we make sure that we have progressive conversations around strengthening South Africa's education system? How do we make sure that the right ears are in the room, that they're willing to collaborate? And how do we, and I think this just from an outside perspective, somebody who has the vantage point of meeting many of you and having many of these conversations for the last 12 years, how do we get the will to break down the silo mentality? Because I think part of the challenge is not the right people around the table sometimes, and that we still, after those discussions, go back into our silos.
So the first place is me sitting on the seat now, speaking to you, and for everybody who's listening to hear about it and to understand and to know more about it. Secondly, how do we break silos is the NGO space in South Africa is so difficult because
and
we
competitive,
all,
right?
Yeah.
And we're competing.
Because we all want money, because
Yeah.
we all go into the same CSR funders year in and year out. So let us break that. We all have the same end goal. So whether I get the 1,000 Rand today and you get it tomorrow, it doesn't really matter. Let's work together. Let's put proposals together. So we go in as a joint community of NGOs, not just one NGO trying to get all the money. And we go in together. Let's challenge government. Whenever we have projects, we always bring government in. Let's challenge them. Let's bring them in. And where they don't have funding, which is more often than not, they have resources. They have people in the various districts that can help us. So whenever we go into a community, we don't go without government. We'll go in, we will meet the district officials, we will meet the councillors in the area. They are so excited for us to be there because they know we come in to make a change, and we're challenging them. We're challenging them to not give us money, but to come and give us their manpower, to give us the social workers in the area that can come and help us with children who are having issues at home. So it's about bringing a community together, challenging each other, and not competing with each other.
Yeah, and I think Dr. Robin Whittaker of African Dialogues talks about trust-based partnerships and trust-based philanthropy, and she writes about it extensively, and she also facilitates monthly dialogues amongst NGOs. I think we need to get NGOs to start just talking to each other.
Yes.
We don't need a big lachotla, I think we just need to be able to say, in actual fact, your core strength is this, but there's an overlap on the periphery on that.
This. Let's do it together.
And let's collaborate in a way that makes perfect sense, where Afrika Tikkun is very good at managing money, but maybe another organization isn't. And so to give that organization money is maybe a fool's errand. To say, rather, how do we collaborate? And I know you guys do it. You've done it with JAM.
Yes.
You do it with Romy Helsinger.
Yeah, no, we do it
You work with Romy
everyone.
Helsinger.
Yes.
You work with a fair amount of organizations.
Yeah, many organizations.
And in actual fact, I think you have become the disbursement arm now for Ad Hope, for KFC's campaign.
Yes.
So there's already collaborations where it works. And I think we need to just kind of blueprint that model and then say, well, guys, let's work together. I think the other challenge also that you'll agree with me is that we need to find a unified standard in terms of measuring impact. Right now, Afrika Tikkun's is very different from Chikalulu. And so we need to find a way to make sure that when on paper it looks the same.
Exactly. And we have an amazing way of measuring impact where we have an online assessment center. So we're working together with other NGOs, even CSI funders and donors who have funded other projects. They will then use our assessment center to assess the projects that they have funded. So we will assess the actual sites, we will assess the teachers, the children, and show them where has their money gone. Has it made a change? Have the children improved? And then also when a CSI donor gives us money, they know it's not going into a bottomless pit.
Yeah.
We do have
Nobody wants that anymore.
Nobody wants that.
No, nobody wants that anymore.
No. I mean, besides
those handouts
the fact,
days are gone.
Yeah. I mean, besides the fact that we have a good reputation, besides that, what are we actually doing with the money? And we can show them that because of our online assessment center. We can show them across the year from January to December how the children are improving. So we take the children who've only achieved 41%, according to the government studies, and then we work with them for the year, and then we show our CSR funders how from January to November, how those children have gone from 41% to 81%, and how last year we managed to get a 99.2% school readiness rate. And we actually show them the impact with stats, with data, with graphs, with raw data, so we can prove to them and show them this is where your money's going. It's not going into this into this deep hole that you were speaking about.
Yeah, nobody wants it anymore. We're over that stuff.
No.
As we wrap up, Theresa, just kind of your thoughts. What do you think needs to happen for us to make a systemic change? There's so much we can talk about, because I know the Afrika Tikkun model is just it's an amazing model. We're not even talking about the partnerships with Smile and everything else that you do. There's just so much that you do. That we would probably need a year just to sit and have a podcast. But what would you as a leader think we would need to do tomorrow to get the train back on the tracks? Not to say it's derailed. I mean, that's clearly not. There's enough people doing enough work. I mean, we can list them, we can wrap them. But the train does stop and start. And sometimes it goes for a while and everybody's on the same page, and then something happens and then we have to get back on track. But how could we really strengthen the education system for the future?
I think, for me, I mean, there are many ways, but the one that stands out for me is parental involvement. We need to get parents involved. And this whole mindset of fathers not being involved in education because they're working and they're paying the school fees, that's enough. That's also history, that's gone.
Yeah, I mean, Craig Wilkinson with Father of a Nation and Zayn Meese with the work that he's doing. There are many of these organizations now that are working with dads to say, listen, guys, you need to get involved.
Get the parents involved. And let the parents come to the schools, involve them in workshops, even in our rural parts of South Africa. We invite them in and we involve them and we show them, what are we teaching your children? And what can you do at home? Something practical. You don't need very expensive equipment. What can you do at home to help your children? Something simple like baking and gardening and chores and cleaning the house, and singing songs and tales from yesteryear. All of that teaches children. Get involved, for parents to be involved, fathers to be involved. And when parents are involved, then the teachers in the school have to be at their best. Because now parents are there, parents are watching. They can't just deliver anything that's coming about. And parents need to be educated enough to say, this school's not working, I'm going to the school down the road. And that puts pressure on the education system, on the school itself, and that's where it starts. And then everybody else just falls into
and those kind of ripple effects kind of bleed into everything else. Theresa Michael, we're going to chat the whole day. CEO of Afrika Tikkun Bambanani. Thought about strengthening South Africa's education system for the future, and how do we do it? What is the role that we all play? And to Theresa's point, that it starts at home, actually. It starts with the basics. It starts with both parents getting involved in the basics, making sure that they're actively involved in the basics, and making sure that you engage in not only the education of your young one, but you also get involved in the education community so that the teachers know who you are. Go to that. And maybe that's one of the many spokes in the wheel that adds to strengthening South Africa's education system for the future. After 10, we'll have a chat to the head of brand from Pizza Hut. They've got a Lead Her initiative that I went to yesterday. And it is mind-blowing what they're doing for young women and how they are working together with the Yes for Youth program. So all of that just after 10.